All right, welcome back to another Beyond Awesome, where we talk to beyond awesome people, beyond awesome topics. I am super pumped. We have a gentleman named Sugar Bear. I'll let him explain that in a second. But before we get to you, Heather, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Jason. What about you?
I'm noticing on this call that I'm the third best dressed on a call of 3.
It was a challenge. It was a challenge this week.
So I'm going to have to step up on the next ones because I'm loving the jacket that you have. Is that alligator? What is that? Snakeskin?
Snakeskin.
Oh,
Snakeskin
man.
silk.
I love it.
Very nice.
And then,
I almost wore that.
Oh, you almost were? Oh, okay. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. No, so Sugar Bear, I am just in awe of your outfit. You're definitely, anytime that I see someone outdressing me, I'm gonna step up my game. So next time we see each other, I'm gonna have to do the pocket square like you. I'm definitely getting the white jacket. That is so amazing. But not about me. It's about you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Sure. So full name is Larry Reyes. The nickname Sugar Bear was given to me by a CEO that I worked for, a company called Rackspace. And the gentleman, it's an interesting story. But the Cliff Note version, I'll just say is that I graduated from the University of Texas at Austin. And while I was there, a very dear friend of mine was getting married, and it just so happened his godmother was a very famous celebrity. And so, of course, you engage with this type of person, you get very nervous, like, oh my gosh, I'm your biggest fan. I'm not sure, what to say, you get nervous. And so anyway, I must have bumped into this person probably 3 or 4 times during this reception. Finally, the groom had to bring her over and said, Larry, I'd like for you to meet my godmother. And it just so happened, if you remember a show back in the 70s, it was called Charlie's Angels.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, this particular starlet that was on it, her name was Farrah Fawcett. And so this was my friend's godmother. And so
was the wedding in San Ynez, California?
No, it was actually in Austin, Texas, believe it or not. We were all graduating from undergrad there. And so she showed up to the wedding, which was awesome. So anyway, I was, at that point, like in a sales environment, you always have to be closing, right? And so I had choked all the way through the reception. It wasn't until the very end, I said, look, you have every right to tell me no, but today is my birthday, and it would mean the world to me if I could get a photo with you. Now, reality check. Was it my birthday?
No.
No, it wasn't my birthday. But she was very gracious, and that photo was taken. And so that photo was on my desk when I was at Rackspace, and the CEO, this is a real good testament of culture and leadership. And so this particular leader made it a point to walk every day throughout various parts of the business, and he would engage with everybody, and not just, hi, how are you, or hey, Jason, or hey, Heather. It was more like, so what are you up to today, or what are you working on? And then when he would see you again, he would remember your name and remember what you were working on, right? I mean, that's a testament. And so he takes a synopsis of my desk, and he sees this photo, and he goes, is that you, Farrah Fawcett? And I said, yes, sir. And he goes, well, aren't you just the Sugar Bear?
Ah.
I thought that was it, right? Move on. And it just so happened that every meeting we were in for so many years, you go around the table and introduce yourself, and it would come to my name, and it would be, Heather and Jason, and I'd say, hi, I'm Larry. And you go, no, what's your name? Larry Reyes. No, what's your name? Sugar Bear. And so we are, and it's followed me. I've tried to avoid it, and somehow it has stuck. But nonetheless, I respond faster.
I was just gonna say, I think if you polled everyone at Bitdefender what your name was, most people would get it wrong because they would say Sugar Bear.
Oh, completely.
Yeah. And then so the funny thing about Farrah Fawcett is I lived in San Ynez, California for over 10 years, and she frequent there lots. So I saw her a lot. So when you said Farrah Fawcett, I was like, I never met her. Like, I'm not stealing your thunder. I didn't get a picture with her. I didn't get Sugar Bear with her. I got nothing. I just saw her. I'm just being very clear, right? So you definitely stepped it up. But I just think that's funny that it's Farrah Fawcett, because right when you said Charlie Angels, I'm like, is he gonna say Farrah Fawcett? That's amazing. So that's so cool.
Well,
go ahead, Larry.
No, I was just going to say the other part. I was just going to your other part of the question was, who am I and what am I about? And so my history has really been around engagement. I think that's kind of just a overarching word because I've been involved everything from employee engagement to customer engagement. And so that is what my excitement of joining Bitdefender, being part of the family here, and most importantly, to be able to really share the message and the amazing work that we do. So.
I think that's fantastic. So what would be, I mean, you already shared something with us with the Farrah Fawcett thing, but is there anything that people would be surprised to know about you or something they don't know about you?
Well, I'm pretty much an open book. I think one of
I'm
the
the same
things,
way, I know.
one of the things that happens is that, you know, a couple of drinks in me and next thing you know, I'm on the dance floor. So I don't know.
Ah,
Not everybody knows that, but that's a kind of a big thing that somehow happens. So,
He's pretty
Heather,
talented too.
I'm taking note of that. We're definitely going to make that happen.
Mhm.
I'll get up on karaoke. He'll get on the dance floor. We'll be the best dressed people there. I'll be number 2. I'm okay with that to him, and we'll make a presence known. So, what is something that since you've been here at Bitdefender that you just that you love about Bitdefender? It could be anything, people, technology, both, anything. You just let us know what your thoughts are.
well, you know, definitely in the world that we're in, especially around cybersecurity, I mean, it's a necessity, and it's not just a necessity; it's imperative. But with that, you know, there's always, you know, concern and fear, and you know, as a product that's being offered, and of the folks that support these products and services, it's just been very impressive to me that it's not something that's just transactional. There is a lot of engagement with, you know, folks, whether that be for that external person and the consumer, right, at the end user, but also internally, and how people come together and figure out, well, how can we collaborate? Or, hey, I have this perspective. How can I help you? Or here, come along with me, arm in arm, and let me kind of show you what's going on. And as I've evolved, you know, over my almost year plus, I've noticed not just within, you know, here in the U.S., but of course all the rest of our family that's international as well. That same philosophy carries forward. And even with new talent that has come on board and folks that I've been very fortunate to engage with, I just see it. You see that that's kind of the unspoken kind of natural thing that people gravitate towards.
Yeah, it's something I noticed really quickly starting here as well. The people, right? And you just in a different kind of way. That's how you explained it. The people. What I put on the overarching that, Larry, is caring. You know, and you and I have talked about this offline, right? Because you and I think of things very similar, and that's why we're friends and we've never met. We've never really hung out in person. We met in person, but we never really hung out, right? So, but we're already friends because we think of things so similar. But I think that when you care about something, you care about the people you work with, you care about the people that are running the company, you care about the people that work in your org. But here's the thing that I get excited about here. We care about our extended family, and that's our partners. And that extended family is the way we incorporate everyone. And it's not, it could be cliche, it could be corny. I've been called way worse than that. So if you just want to call me cliche and corny, I'm all on board. So Heather, what do you got for Larry? These are always good ones.
Okay. My first question is around building culture, and I know you've done a lot of work around that here and just in your previous life. How do you really approach developing a culture and helping to cultivate that for a company?
That's a great question. You know, this has been something that's been my passion for 20 plus years. So, you know, it evolved when I was at Rackspace. You know, it was an amazing environment where when we started, when I was the 14th employee there, and as it evolved into, you know, a very large organization globally, there's a concept in which I think a lot of organizations somewhat miss. And even when I left Rackspace, I noticed it with other folks that I worked with in consulting as well on this topic, is that when there are special, unique things that happen, as an organization, you have to capture that, whether that be a story, whether that be an action, whether that be something that an individual did for one another, that has to be at least celebrated in some way. Whether that's, you know, I think every company does recognition stuff, but it has to be adopted, whether that be in an onboarding process, whether that be through an all hands engagement. You have to be speaking the language and also exhibiting the behaviors. What works to another level to this is it has to be from the top down. You know, one of the things I know, Jason, we've talked about, Heather, I know we've talked about it as well, is around leadership. You know, there is, you know, from that mindset, all leaders have 1,000 things on their plate that they have to address, right? And a lot of times they don't always get to have the time to put priority towards the things they like to work on. And unfortunately, there are some leaders out there that don't really put it as a priority at all. However, you know, the thing I try to tell leaders is please don't fall into the check the box leadership, meaning, oh, we did a culture exercise or a workshop and we identified these things. Now it's on the shelf, right? And nothing comes from it. Versus figuring out some type of application program or plan or even kind of a book toolkit that employees of all levels can be able to utilize. And it should be done in orientation, but from the senior leadership, they have to model those behaviors. And from there, think about it. If a senior leader, like a CEO or president of an organization, models that behavior, what happens? Other folks do the same, and it just becomes this kind of domino effect across the organization. If you elaborate more on that, meaning, yes, I talk about a value or core value, but how is that core value translated across the organization? Meaning, what are the behaviors I need to do around it? What is the example or a story that's done that really helps provide the context to go, okay, I understand that this particular value is important. So that, I think, is a huge piece. I think the other side of the coin too is, how is it memorable for everyone to be able to understand and recite those values and apply it? In my tenure at Rackspace and in other places I've worked at, that's the thing I always challenge, as always, to embrace as well, is when a value is there, here's an example that I have seen it. Whether that be a brand new hire that's come on board and is very new to the organization. Well, what was that HR experience, right? How was the acclimation when you started to network with the different teams? Was everybody open? Were they not? What are some things that kind of stood out? And then, of course, as that 90th day passes forward, what are some other things that individual's experienced, that the company did as a whole, whether they did internally, whether they gave folks from the front line or mid-management or whatever level opportunities to innovate and showcase that, right? And not necessarily be giving it to someone and it gets lost. So I think that's a big piece. And the final part to your question there is around value, right? I think value is a huge, huge piece. So, everyone wants to feel that their work is valued. They also want to make sure, am I providing stuff that is not only helping the bottom line, but is making the work I'm doing efficient. And so I think that's a huge piece. And whether that be a recognition award, whether that just be an acknowledgement. I've seen Jason do this many times with his group and across the organization. He'll send out an email and say, hey, I want to let everyone know this person did this, or this program did this, and these are the benefits that are happening, and not be him, but the individuals that did the work.
Yep.
I had a mentor years ago that very ironic situation. So he approached me and the team and he said, hey, I know we're working on this project. I'd like for you to put together a deck, the whole group, and everybody contribute to it. So we did. We gave it to him. And so we thought that was it, right? We were thinking we're going to go back to our job. And he said, okay, everybody, this looks good. I'd make a couple of tweaks here and there. He goes, okay, what is everybody doing on Tuesday at, say, 9 a.m.? And so we all looked at one another and said, I don't think we can make it happen. What do you need? He said, well, that's our SLT meeting, and I'd like for you to come with the team, everybody, and let's practice the presentation. But I'm going to introduce you, and then I want you to present to the senior leadership team about what this perspective is. So there's two sides of that coin, right? From the individuals participating in this SLT meeting, what does that do? It gives them exposure. It gives them an opportunity to see how people engage in that setting. What are the type of questions that are asked? It also gives them visibility, right, into their someone that is a contributor and is willing to raise their hand to do something, right? So they walk away, and what do? They become promoters. Wow, my boss included our entire team, this and this and this. And what do? They talk to their family, their peers. It becomes kind of that domino effect, right? On the other side of the coin, it's also focused around the leader. The leader now, to the rest of his peers, shows that it's not just him, but he is also engaging his team. It's about collecting innovation and thought and value that can now be shared to say, look, we're all, if you want to call it, owners of the company, or basically we're all in the canoe rowing together. Here's an example, right? And it just becomes a model behavior that other leaders can then emulate.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, Heather, I know you have another one, but I want to jump in because he said some awesome things, right? So we're very similar. This is a team sport, right? It's a team sport, right? So if you try to do it on your own, you're going to fail. But the other thing I wanted to say is So basically what we're thinking is at the very high level, we want to believe in it and then we want to live it. And when you live it, what I mean by that is you believe in it to live it. And because people will know if you're genuine or not. If you're just like a checkbox leader, like you said, and I take that very, very seriously. I make it a point to talk with every single person in my entire org at least once a month, even when I don't have a topic, because I always look at it from the other side, right? Every time I teach my kids, everybody that asks for advice, I always say, look at it from the other side of the table. When you were that person, how awesome would it have been to have that connection and open dialogue? And that's what I'm hearing from the people. We talk about anything, family, their career, what they want to focus on in the future, all of those things. And every time I get it, Larry, I get, thank you so much for this, Jason. This is the first time I've ever had something like this. And to me, I think it makes me more excited and happy than that, even them, right? Because it gives me that pride and that fulfillment. So I just wanted to touch on that, Heather. But go ahead. What do you got more for Larry? Be ready,
well,
Larry.
first, I was going to say, I think there's two things, and neither of you are in this bucket, but two things that leaders miss. One is that if it goes right, it's your team. If it goes wrong, it's you. From a public facing sort of point of view. And I think the other thing that a lot of, and I'll put leaders in quote in this scenario, miss is that the higher you go, it's the more people you work for and not the other way around. And when you approach it that way, you just build a much better culture, but also stronger teams that feel empowered and ultimately are going to do a better job. So with that being said, my next question is around creating experiences, because I think this is something you're absolutely amazing at doing. So when you're planning meetings or ways to engage with other people, how do you make that an experience? Because I think that's something that people struggle with. It's more than just putting a slide deck in front of people to actually make them want to do business with you.
That's another amazing question. One of the things that through my experience through the customer briefing world, or should I say customer solution center for Bitdefender, is that when you engage with someone, I think it's a no-brainer, right? You do your research, hopefully on the company, you identify who the folks are in the room, you prep what discussions are going to be done, it's all the typical stuff. What takes it to the next level, right, is understanding the people, right? So, not just what you can research, but as you engage with them, I think that's where you think about any facilitator or anyone that takes charge in a setting, just like here, right? You're asking questions. There is the person that is the facilitator. And a lot of times when we go somewhere, we're in that person's hands and we're waiting to be kind of led or directed on where we're supposed to go. Where I feel there's a miss is in those interactions, it shouldn't just be on one person. It should be everybody's responsibility to, introduce themselves and ask, fun questions, what brings you here? Where do you hail from? But also like, what do you like to do? Or I understand you like to go jet skiing, what's your favorite type of equipment for that, or boat, or getting more into the person of who they are. I think another level to that is to be able to understand what are the things in the situation that can just, again, elevate it. Meaning, if they're asking for a particular thing that you're going to address, how can you go maybe one or two steps further than that? Maybe things that they're not even asking. Maybe things that are, what do you see yourself in 5 years from now? And having either resources or content or people, right, that are available in that meeting or engagement that help broaden the thought process, right? So now that person that's coming to visit is not just, I got, check the box, the stuff I need addressed, but now you're making me think beyond. Wow, I've never had anybody do that, right? And even in my experiences in my past lives, seeing that in play where you then provide more of it being transactional, it becomes more of a relationship, right? Now I see you, Heather and Jason, as a lifeline versus someone that I just can call because I need to upgrade or do what I need to. It's more than that. I can pass ideas back and forth with. Whether there is an opportunity or not, you have developed that bond. And what happens when people establish, as we know, trust, they're going to remember, they're going to, promote you. They're going to be able to want you to be involved in their network. And so that is what I have seen, where just taking it above and beyond, and that sounds a little cliche, but just doing just a little bit more unexpected, because what you may not think is a lot, maybe a small gesture, maybe the world to that person. They're not asking.
Right. Yep. So the key word that you used was beyond. Would you say it was to do that? You have to be beyond awesome. Just checking.
Well, I was trying to keep in theme, but yes, I mean,
I love it.
It is that. It is, and I think an awesome is really interpretive, right? Because again, right, your perspective of awesome, you may think you're hitting all that, but it may be a miss, right, with the person.
For sure.
So like you have to make sure, is the stuff that you're doing relevant? Is there things that we can be providing that just makes it a little different? Accessibility, right? Whether in an engagement for a briefing, do you have not just the folks that are involved, but do you have an influencer? Meaning on our side of the house, do we have someone from our senior leadership that can be a part of that discussion? Is there another resource for that we can pull in that really kind of helps that conversation? I
think that's spot on. Heather, did you have any more great questions for Larry?
Don't be jealous. Don't be jealous. No, I think you did great.
Inside joke. It's an inside joke because I ask my questions and people just get into it. And then every time Heather comes on, they go, "Great question, Heather." So it's like an ongoing theme. You said it on both of hers. So it's going to be moving forward, Heather. I'm going to laugh every time because they are really great questions. And I think the dynamic of how we ask is just perfect. So Larry, that's about all we had for today. Is there anything you want to end on? Any other comments you want to state before we finish? Well, I'm just very excited to be part of the Bitdefender family. I'm telling you, everyone that I've engaged with has been just amazing. I've been fortunate to go to the headquarters in Romania. And again, right, just overwhelmed with the sense of community and, again, engagement. So I can't thank you enough both for having me here to talk about culture, which is something that's it's very passionate for me, but it really translates in a lot of different ways. And I think to help define it, I think folks see it as a little bit of the, I don't want to say fluff, but they don't realize that behaviors that are generated from a culture help provide efficiency. It helps provide not only value, but it also translates to those outside of the organization that in turn will become promoters of what you're trying to accomplish. So again, this has been beyond awesome, and I can't thank y'all enough. Now, I think, just to touch on that real quickly, I think it's the foundation. The culture is the foundation that everything is built from. And I think a lot of companies make that mistake. Like you said, they think of it more as fluff, where the numbers and the regions and all that kind of stuff is more important, but no, it's culture. We're in a people business, and that's what we always have to remember, that every person that we work with, for, or besides, has their own personality, has their own way of looking at life. And if you can tap into that, it's just that much better for everybody. But Larry, thank you so much for coming on. It's weird to call you Larry, but I think in this setting it made sense. But I think so highly of you, and I think we're Heather and I are very excited to have you on board, but I think we're blessed to have you on board from the company standpoint, because we need what you bring, especially to raise my jacket game. So thank you again for joining. And everybody out there, if you're listening, consuming anyway, thank you for taking your time to listen to this. Reach out to Larry. He's around if you want to talk, if you want to be on the promotion, or if you want to be on the show, reach out to Heather and I. But go out and do something that is a positive impact on life. In your environment, in your neighborhood, no matter what it is, it's going to make you feel better. I promise you. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. Thank you.